this live since last month. And I'm just now for the first day getting back into my office after being kind of on vacation for a couple of weeks. So sorry about that. Those of you that have been watching some of my YouTube videos, you saw that my audio quality wasn't quite there where it used to be, and my video certainly wasn't there. But back at home, definitely back in my sort of stomping grounds. So I feel a little bit more where I'm supposed to be, but I feel a little bit rusty already. So bear with me here. But welcome everybody. Those of you that are obviously here on our Zoom call within Sync Academy. Those of you that are watching from YouTube, we really want to welcome you guys all into our conversation today. I can already see that I've screwed up and that I'm not showing you guys my webcam. Let me see if I can actually fix that here on YouTube. I don't know why it's not doing that. Oh, because it's going the wrong one. Let's see. Now you guys should be able to see me. Do you guys see me now? Yeah, you should see me now. So I wanted to just quickly give an update on the Sync Match app before we jump in today. Today we're going to definitely talk about some tough situations. We definitely have a lot of challenging situations in the sync licensing business. I had a really, kind of honest and sort of just humbling conversation with one of our members who was second guessing themselves heavily about their approach in this business and why they weren't seeing the results they wanted to. And I think some of it has to do with sort of, getting your expectations in a more correct place. But I also want to just be honest and give you guys some just place to just kind of air your grievances about the fact that this is a really, really tough business to be a part of. It definitely is. It's very hard. It takes a long time to see results. And a lot of times without this immediate feedback for where your results are coming from or if things are working, we can sort of get lost in a lot of second guessing. So I definitely think you guys are in good company here because many people deal with the things that you guys are dealing with for sure. So before we get started, I want to give you guys the update. If you guys hadn't heard already, Sync Match now has access to sample data from over 100 US TV channels. Okay, we have definitely massively upgraded the amount of data that we're basically supplying to you guys on the app. I want to be clear though, that we are not giving you every single track that gets aired across all 100 US TV channels. That is impossibly expensive. I just can't afford that at this point. It would just be tens of thousands of dollars, and we just don't have that right now. But what I was able to work out a way with a data broker to basically get some sample data from many more than just the 20 that we had been getting. Okay, so the reason why this I think is a meaningful upgrade and update to the app is because before, we started with 10, then we went up to 20, and now you guys can see up to 100 different channels, what's getting placed, what kinds of styles of music are landing on them, what libraries are supplying them, all that good stuff. So we just have access to a lot more data now that we never had before, and so I think our visibility into this business has just grown quite a bit. If you guys have been on the app before, you saw that last month we were somewhere around 13,000. I think that's what our last data upgrade was at in terms of how many placements we had detected and upgraded and uploaded into the app. As you can see, we're at 53,000. That might be really small for you guys, but we are at 53,000. So what is that? A 4x increase in the amount of data that basically has gone and gotten injected into this database. So we definitely are just giving you more and more insights and just visibility into something we never had any visibility on. And I even had a sync licensing producer reach out to me not too far, basically 2 or 3 days ago, who's a six-figure earning sync licensing producer, one of the few, a very, very rare specimen in our business. Even he said, I think Sync Match would be really useful for me because, I'm constantly throwing music out to my library partners, but they kind of just take whatever I give them, whatever I'm into, whatever I think would be cool. They just sort of, just keep giving it to us. And he realizes that if he had an app like Sync Match, he would know what actually gets placed the most in his particular genre. He's more of a rock producer. So I told him, jump on in, basically go figure out, what styles of music are the best fit for you. Maybe it's rock, maybe it's blues rock if you guys kind of do some swagger rock. And these are the winners right here. If you want to know for sure what's getting placed the most, this would definitely give you an insight as to what would be working best. And also, one of the newer features that we have on the app, if you guys haven't checked it out yet, is this little section right here, which is the top 20 tracks with the most number of shows. Okay, so this is a new metric. This is basically because we're now monitoring over 100 channels, we actually have access to a lot more insight as to which tracks are getting placed across a variety of TV shows and channels the most. So if you are, let's say, a rock producer, this is going to tell you if you want to do instrumental or vocal, but you definitely can go check out that we have at the very top, a blues rock track got placed the most number of times across a variety of different channels and TV shows. So you can listen to the Spotify link. You can definitely listen to the snippet of this as it got placed. If you just click on this, I won't let it play, but that will actually play the snippet of the track with the TV show. I just don't want to get this, I don't know, flagged from YouTube or something like that. But anyways, you can certainly listen to every single one of these as it was placed, how it was used in a particular either TV show or a commercial. And then you can also just from a glance see like which styles of music are the highest in demand, at least from the previous month. You can see that there's rock, pop, house, more pop, rock, funk, electronic, orchestral, even some Latin. So you can kind of just get a quick glance at what is getting placed in the most number of different shows and channels across the board. So this is something that this producer, who's already killing it, already doing great in this business, sees also the value of this. So this isn't just for newbies or people that are just brand new or trying to figure out where they belong. This is for experienced producers that have been at this industry for as long as I have, who want to know, hey, I want to make sure that if I'm spending time in my studio and I want to be making music that's going to get placed, I should be sort of understanding and studying the industry at some level to understand what's actually getting, what's flying off the shelf. And like I said, if I had had access to this kind of data and insights when I got started in 2008, I would have completely changed the kind of music I was making for the most of my career. Even up until a couple of years ago, some of the music I was making was like not sounding a lot like what I'm hearing here in the data that we're collecting. So this is definitely a course corrector, and it can serve as a double-edged sword for some of you guys. You're going to get in here, get excited, motivated, maybe get confirmation that you are making music that is high in demand. Now it's just a matter of, finding out the libraries through this app that you want to pitch to. For the others of you, you're going to find out there's not a lot of demand maybe for the music you are making, or if you are making music that shows up and you're making music that has a similar genre tag to what we detect, maybe your music doesn't sound anything like what is showing up on this app. And that can also be a little bit of a, bitter pill to swallow. But I hope you take it not as some indication that you need to give up or that there's no hope or you have no future, but just that you were given the access keys, you were given the cheat code to this industry, because it's going to show you if you're making funk music, here are the top funk placed tracks. Here's what they sound like. Here's their Spotify links. You can listen to them all the way through. Here's a snippet of how they were used. So all this kind of information can give you just quicker access to know what are the winning formulas for every style of music for whatever you're producing. So I hope you guys take advantage of this and actually start using it. So there is a link below if you guys are watching on YouTube, and if you guys are in Sync Academy, I think that's already in the platform, so you guys can do that as well. So let me go ahead and go back to our main share here, and let me find out why or what the YouTube thing is looking like, because it looks very different now. Yeah, it looks a little different. Let me go ahead and change that. But I definitely want to talk today about the mindset concerns. So I had this interaction with one of our members who's been a member with us for many years, and they essentially said that they were dealing with a lot of second guessing and really being unsure about where they fit into this business. They have been, I think they said they submitted between 30 and 40 tracks to a variety of libraries, and they haven't seen any placements, haven't seen anything like that. They've even had some libraries sort of not reply to them, kind of basically being really slow on responding to them. And even though they're willing to work and they're saying, hey, what do you need? They're just getting some of their libraries that aren't even talking to them. And so when they got on the SyncMatch app, one of the things that they noticed was that orchestral is one of the biggest styles of music that gets placed. It just is. In our genres, if you do scroll over to the orchestral side of things, you will find that definitely orchestral has the one of the largest numbers of tracks. This month, pop, I think, barely edged it out. But definitely orchestral is one of the popular styles of music. And so this producer doesn't really do big orchestral. And for us, orchestral on this app, kind of what it means, it's the big, epic, dramatic styles of music. If you do something a little bit smaller and stripped down, that'd probably fit into more of our classical genre tag. But this producer was like, well, they kind of do more of that sort of stripped down, minimal, kind of sometimes electronic, sometimes with classical orchestral elements, but not big, epic trailer type music. That's not what they do. And so because they weren't seeing results with their 30 to 40 tracks and the variety of libraries they're working with, and they saw that like orchestral was kind of taking the cake here in terms of it's getting most of the placements, they kind of had a big sort of second guessing of their entire approach to this industry to say, you know what, I think I just need to stop doing what I'm doing, pause. I need to go learn how to make high quality orchestral tracks, big, larger than life trailer tracks, that kind of a thing, because that's where the industry obviously has a lot of placement potential for. And I need to kind of reapproach this industry from a completely new sort of style of music. And so I had a couple of thoughts about that. Like, on one hand, I never think it's a bad idea to up your skills, to learn new things, to kind of expand your horizons, to, you know, basically take on new challenges for yourself, to maybe take on a new genre or learn how to add on to your skill set or learn a new plugin or something like that. Never going to tell you guys not to do that. In fact, you should be doing that on a consistent basis if you want to stay kind of sharp in this business and stay ahead, right? But at the same time, I also wanted to make sure that there wasn't this hidden assumption, and maybe in this producer's mind or any of your guys' mind, if you are using this data and rethinking your approach. And this is what I told this producer, this is one of the main things I want to get across in today's stream, is that I don't want you to think that if you do come to this industry making music that sounds just like the top place tracks that you see, you know, on here, or you make music that sounds just like the #1 place track that got placed last month, as you find it on the SyncMatch app, that somehow means that placements will immediately come quicker, or that you get to kind of bypass and speed past through the, you know, I just call it the suck phase of this business. I just don't think there is a way to do that intentionally. I think some producers get lucky, and I've had some of those on my channel who kind of got into this business and within the first couple of months landed some big sync fees and some big opportunities. But it's not the norm. It's the exception to the rule. The normal cause of events for most of you, for me, I would say for 90%, 95% probably of all producers that are going to stick with this for a long time, is, you know, maybe you'll get some consideration fees up front. You know, those are even fewer and fewer these days. But chances are it's going to take you years before you see your royalties kick in with a new library that you worked with, okay? And that doesn't really matter if you're working with, you know, you're submitting orchestral trailer cues that are basically showing up the most in our data, or you're making kind of more, you know, minimal cues or tension cues, or you're doing dramedy or rock or hip hop. It really just doesn't matter. Even if you are following with the sort of top place tracks here and you're submitting to the libraries that we're showing you on the app that are proven to place those style of music, those types of music, styles of music. Told you guys it's going to be a rough one today. Those styles of music in the previous 30 days. Even if you're doing everything right in terms of using this data in the most appropriate way, there's no skipping past the suck phase. Everybody has to go through it. Everybody that I know that does this full time, Stephen McDonald, Anthony Crawford, Todd Andrew, many others that I've had on this channel, myself, we all went through the suck phase, and it's 2 to 5 years. It could even be longer for some people, but I have always given that kind of rough estimate, that it's this kind of real tough place, especially the first couple of years of this business. It's when your motivation and your hunger is the highest, like you're excited, you're ready to go, because it's all kind of new and fresh, and you have that feeling of momentum and you're building. But it's also when the results are the fewest. So you have to basically rely on something else other than seeing royalties or placements or anything like that for a while. You know, like if you guys have followed my story at all, I think it was either 1.5 years or 2 years, somewhere in there, before I saw my first royalty, which was, ta-da, 14 cents. Okay, so nothing really to get super excited about, other than I received my first placement and I was really excited that something had worked. And so for those of you that have seen that, maybe that first placement or first couple placements, maybe you feel that excitement too, and that's something you should never take away from yourself, and you should definitely keep celebrating that. But it's just a long stretch of time. I made this analogy in one of my previous videos last week, where what you're kind of doing when you get into an industry like sync licensing is you're kind of working against what your brain actually wants you to do. What your brain actually wants you to do is it wants you to basically spend as little effort as possible, little time as possible, and get as much results as it possibly can. Okay, so like if you had to go, I don't know, climbing up a tree to try to pick some peaches off of it. You know, we just actually had some of our peaches in our backyard come to bloom, so I was really excited to go pick them off with my daughters. But your brain doesn't want you to climb up there and stay up there for days and days and days. It just wants you to, you know, spend as little effort as possible and grab as much as you possibly can for the least amount of effort. Even better if you had a stick or some grabber where you could just stay on the ground and not risk yourself climbing up a tree without risking breaking your neck and just pulling it down. The least amount of effort and the shortest amount of time you can possibly put into something to get the most amount of results. That is what the human brain is designed to be very efficient to try to figure out. That's what we really want. It's what we crave. And when we see a lot of effort and work in front of us without a guaranteed payoff, it's like that's when the procrastination and all the laziness and the distractions start to really fill our minds, because it's like, I don't want to do that. That's too much, right? But when you get involved in sync, what you're kind of asking your brain to do is to basically go climb up a peach tree for like 2 years and not really see any peaches, but just have faith that at some point those peaches are going to grow. All the while you're risking your neck. All the while you're spending your energy. All the while you are not hunting. You're not going to other trees. You're not doing anything else other than devoting pretty much all of your free time to this one endeavor, this peach tree that you're really just hoping will eventually pull down, endless amounts of fruit for you and your family in the future. Hopefully that analogy kind of makes sense. And that is not how the brain wants to work. It's not interested in that kind of an endeavor. So every time you guys work with a new library or pitch some music and you don't get a placement, it's kind of like you spent one more week in the tree and the peaches didn't show up. And then you're looking down, you're looking at other trees, you're kind of seeing the buffalo run over there. You're like, I could have hunted those, I could have done this. You're looking everywhere else because you're expecting some sense of, is this going to really work out or not from the tree that you've climbed up? And when you don't see that, especially for months and years, second guessing and doubting is natural and it's healthy and you should be doing it. It doesn't mean that something is wrong or broken. One of the things I told this producer, I said, the fact that you're having doubts, second guessing, not really sure, that's not an indication that your career is not working out. In fact, all that is to me is an indication that you're on the same trajectory that everybody who does this full time has been on. That's all it really says. It doesn't say that you're doing something wrong. In fact, I know, knowing this producer, knowing that I've reviewed their music quite a few times, they've got what it takes. They're one of the few producers I don't really have any doubts about. Like, got high quality music that can produce in a variety of styles. They've even been accepted by many of our CEOs in our Sync Connect program. They get accepted more often than they get rejected. So they've got what it takes to really thrive. And they do make licensable music. It's in-demand music. It does get placed. So I have no doubts that this is going to be a producer that can make it, with their current skill set. But I already forgot my train of thought with this one. But the where they were trying to go though was to say, maybe I can get away from what I'm just naturally inclined to, what I'm good at, where my talents are, and I can basically not have to spend years in this tree by producing a different style of music and kind of chase something else and sort of like skip that part of waiting for the peaches to really bloom here. And that's just not possible. And the other risks that you do run by doing that, and I'm not saying maybe this producer will make amazing high quality trailer music. The risk though is when you purely chase a style of music just because it's high in demand. If your skills match up with that, then definitely do it, right? Like if you've got high quality composing skills, orchestration skills, that kind of thing, high quality samplers, all that good stuff, totally. Then go where the marketplace data is. But if it's just not in you, and not all of us have this, like I'm not an orchestral producer. I can't make high quality trailer orchestral cues. Definitely tried it many times in my career. The amount of time and effort that I put into it, I got, okay results, but like for me to get to that like competitive level, I'd have to go all in on it. I wasn't that into it. It really wasn't it didn't need to come out of me. I wasn't that excited about that style of music. So I stuck to what I really loved, which was more rock and maybe a little bit more pop and EDM and that kind of a thing. So I would definitely say that you want to use this data in a way where you are not just chasing it's basically like chasing the money. It's kind of what some people might do with this. Like, oh, this style of music gets placed the most, let me go make it. Meanwhile, you don't really have any experience with that style of music. It's not really something that you've studied a lot of. You haven't done a lot of it. And so you're kind of, you're sort of wandering into this very well-established, very competitive style of music, and you're not bringing like A-level talent to it. You're kind of starting off as a complete beginner, to it. So I'm not saying you can't get there with a lot of work, but rather than do that, here's what I would recommend for all of you guys that are struggling in the same way that this producer was. If you're on SyncMatch, you're looking at the data, you're looking at the different styles of music, and you're like, well, I want to make music that's high in demand. What I'm doing is not like super, super high in demand, but I think I could, I'd like to see, whatever. I want to make sure that I'm serving the needs of this industry broadly. I would say what you should do first is figure out what you do best and then try to incorporate some of the elements you hear on the app into what you do best, not the other way around, where you're basically taking your style of music and completely switching it and chasing something on this app, chasing some other style of music that you've never done before. Maybe it's not really that interesting to you, or it's only interesting to you now because you see that it's probably profitable. I do think that's a mistake. I don't think that's the wise approach to this. I think the wise approach is to take what you do best. It doesn't matter what that is. As long as you see your genre of music pop up on the SyncMatch app, there is a demand for it. Maybe some are more than others, of course. You can pay attention to that. But if you notice that there are certain elements to your style of music where, the top track, the top track that gets placed in your style of music usually has some mood associated with it, or a certain instrument, or it's structured a certain way, or whatever it is. And you'll notice this, month after month as you get the new tracks that we upload onto the app. That's what you want to start to really incorporate. So you're combining. You want to use the data, but you really need to still bring your A game to it, and you don't need to just erase yourself and erase what you really do great at and what your strong points are and your talents, just to chase wherever the sort of market demand is. I do think that's a mistake, and I think a lot of you might mistakenly, maybe even unconsciously believe that would be a way to sort of skip past the first couple of years here in this business. And I just don't think that that's possible. I think we all have to pay our dues. We all have to kind of get through it. And it's a tough business. And that's what I told this producer. I said, it's just a very, very tough, grueling industry to be a part of. And so you're feeling the same pain that everybody else has felt. It's one of the reasons why I have this massive Sync Psych 101 series in Sync Academy. It's a 10 video series because it doesn't talk about anything technical. It doesn't talk about libraries and how they work, or how royalties work, or how you structure your tracks. None of that technical knowledge and that know-how is included in that. It is purely the war that goes on inside our mind, because there is always going to be challenges and struggles in this business. And they are the ones, those challenges and struggles are the reasons why people give up. It's the reason why this producer backtracked and second guessed. And the other thing I forgot to mention was, they had said they had 30, 40 tracks, something like that over the course of, I'm thinking about 2 years, maybe it was a little bit less, but around 2 years. And I said, listen, I don't want to diminish 30 or 40 tracks. That's a lot of music. That's great. And you've got them into very capable hands. But just for reference, not a guarantee, not saying this is some minimum magical number you have to hit to get royalties, but in my career, I think I had about 100 tracks released with the library that I had partnered with before I saw that first placement. So 100 tracks for me equaled my first placement. So I'm not telling you need to magically have 100, then you'll get one, or you can't get them, maybe it'll be longer for you. It could be 200. It could be less. It could be 25. I don't know. I'm not giving you any guarantees with that. But I said, you've been at this for a couple years. You're at 30 to 40 tracks. You're kind of at the beginning. You're closer to the starting line than you are to your royalties. Like in terms of your numbers, in terms of how long you've been doing this. Like you really need to kind of double, triple, quadruple down if you really want to see the results. And I also want to make sure that I'm very clear that, I've definitely told you guys working with a variety, maybe 2 to 3 libraries, 3 to 5 if you can handle it, is a smart idea, because that way you can compare, right? Is this library or that library getting me more placements, responding to me quicker, et cetera, et cetera. You can kind of you have something to compare to rather than just throwing all your eggs in one basket. Hopefully it works out, but if you have 2 or 3, you can kind of compare. One thing that I should be very, very clear on, and maybe this has been a mistake that because I haven't been extremely clear on this point, some producers might have been taking that advice but sort of making a mistake with it, is that doesn't mean that you just drop off 10 tracks with this library, 10 tracks with that library, cross your arms and just wait and go, well, we'll see who's going to get me more results. And when they get me the results, then I'll jump in and start submitting more music to them. I think maybe because I haven't been super clear with that part of my advice, some producers mistakenly might have been doing that. So I do really, really apologize for that if that's been you. If you guys are watching this and you're like, oh yeah, I thought you just throw some music in their catalog and just kind of chill and wait. Like don't devote more time or energy till you get results. I understand that, makes sense, but you got to put yourself in the library shoes. They hear from you, they get an album from you, they're like, this is cool, great enough that we want to accept it. We're going to give you a contract. And then imagine you're the library and this producer just gave you some great music, just kind of ghosts you, doesn't talk to you, doesn't submit any more music, doesn't ask what do you need next. just kind of walks away. Do you think that that's going to be a high quality partner for you in the future? There's a chance, but more likely than not, that sounds like a producer, like it fits the mold of most producers. It's like a stereotypical producer in our business who's just like, here you go, here's 10 tracks, see you later. I'm not going to keep working with you. So if you have been doing that, you are looking like sort of a, tepid, fair weather friend to this industry, not really devoted, not really committed, and not showing the library that you are hungry and that you really actually want to be achieving great things in this business, that you can be dependable and you're going to consistently show up on a weekly, monthly basis. So just one of those things where it's risky. Again, you're asking yourself. I don't want to ask you guys to do this. You got to decide for yourself if you want to do this. But if you do continue with this, especially with our Sync Focus program, for the rest of this year, that's what you're asking your brain to do. Climb up a tree that you don't see any peach trees in, but you have a vision of it. You have faith that they're going to be there, and you're committed and you're devoted and you're continuously climbing, exploring, devoting a lot of time and energy, maybe even money into this without for sure having those results. So it's kind of a crazy thing to do. We are kind of crazy people here, right? This is not something that normal people probably would want to do. But I do find that it's sort of like it's that fine line between crazy and genius, And so you're only crazy until it starts working out, and then you suddenly look like a genius. So take it for what it's worth. That's what I wanted to share with you guys today. If you guys, for those of you that are here in Sync Academy, if you guys have some questions about this, pop it in the chat. I thought I had my YouTube comments up, but I'm not seeing them. I'll see if I can get those up here. Well, they used to be up, and I don't know what's going on now. So I don't even know. Is this on YouTube? Am I even live on YouTube? Sorry, guys. Let me just double check here. Yep, looks like we're live, so everything's working. But you know what? I'll use my phone to monitor the chat. I don't see any chat from you guys here on YouTube, so say hi if you guys are on YouTube. Let's see. And if no questions, all good. We'll get into some track reviews from Sync Academy members. So Ryan says, still looking for the first partnership. Okay, a long road ahead. Yep. And that is just part of the journey there, Ryan. So everybody starts somewhere, right? Brendan's saying it happened to me a month ago. Had 3 rejection emails, but every library I submitted to specialized in trailers, so I probably just hit up the wrong libraries. That could be it. Yep, absolutely. So also let me know, for those of you that are here on the Zoom call, are you guys dealing with these kinds of issues at all? Are you dealing with second guessing? Has anything on the Sync Match app given you a lot of pause as to who you should be working with, or who you should be partnered with, or what kind of music you should be making? I do want to really know how you guys are using this data, interpreting it, because it's kind of like data is just neutral. It's just information that's here on the internet. But how you interpret it, how you make use of it, what you do with it is really interesting to me, because I want to see how this is sort of empowering you guys. I also want to know if it's negatively impacting some of you that are getting access to it for the first time. I don't think I anticipated that this would be as much of a kind of a red pill, humbling app for a lot of you that have never seen this kind of information before. And we've all turned on the TV, we've all turned on Netflix, we hear music that's on TV, but to basically be able to do this kind of market research on, just this steroid level, and just immediately hear all the kind of tracks that are getting placed in your particular style of music, that's all brand new. And so that is really kind of messing with our in a good way, it's just messing with our expectations as to what actually could work in this business. As I've been just diving into the music and kind of doing my quality control and listening to make sure the tags are correct and or as accurate as possible, it's definitely wiring my brain. Like, I now know almost every style of music, what's getting placed the most. And it's just because I just spent time listening. I think for most of you guys, if you're not using this app and not just listening to music that's getting placed more often, you are far behind the 8 ball. You are going to be far behind anybody else who's just logging in here. You don't got to do this every day, like once a week. Come on in, or basically when the new data is up there, get access to all the Spotify links and create a playlist for yourself. And that month, make sure that's the style of music that you guys listen to consistently. It will rewire your brain. You will start to expect more from yourself. You will start to understand what the common elements of success are for your particular style or styles. of music. And it's just an unbelievably powerful tool for you guys to start diving into. So, all right, you guys got some more comments coming in here. Let's say hi. All right. Norm says the sync match is the most helpful data available for syncing music. It has changed my whole approach. Cool. Norm, tell me how specifically. Which part has it changed? That's what I really want to know. What your style of music, your approach to how you're structuring your tracks, which libraries you're going to research. Like, what was the part of it that was like, this is now different for me? I'd like to know that. Richard said, many of the tracks I uploaded have the unpolished character tag. Is this a good or bad thing? What can be done to make it sound more polished? Yeah, so unpolished is all of the tags you guys will get on the Sync Match app are not good or bad. They are neutral. They are sort of judgment free. They're judgments in that they're trying to categorize your music to help it, get sorted and sort of properly matched and paired in our database. But unpolished does not mean bad. Unpolished simply means that it's I don't know how I can tell you. Okay, polished to me sounds like radio friendly corporate music, if that makes sense. Okay, Taylor Swift, common example. I would probably see that was, hey, what's up, Yella? Glad you're here, man. Taylor Swift has very polished sounding music. Okay, pop music, radio friendly music, top 40 music. Generally, this isn't all cases, is usually generally called polished. It's pristine, it's smooth, it's clean, right? That's usually what we call polished. Unpolished doesn't mean that it's bad. It can mean that your track is in demo form and it needs some more work, but it's not making that judgment call with unpolished. All unpolished means is that it's a sort of a characteristic of your sound. White Stripes have a unpolished sound, right? If you listen to some of those old hit songs they had, kind of rough around the edges. Maybe even Black Keys, of course. So kind of maybe sometimes the timing isn't for sure 100% on a grid. It's kind of a gritty guitar sound, gritty sounding vocals. It's kind of rough sounding, but that's not bad because some gritty, rough, unpolished music is the best music. It's really amazing stuff. So don't take that as I failed, I'm unpolished. It's just the best this AI tagging model that we're using can do to try to give you some helpful indications of like if a sync licensing client was looking for music to sync and they typed in unpolished, your track would probably show up in those results. So that it's not, they didn't type in bad, they didn't type in demo quality, like that's not what they're typing in. Polished, unpolished. That sort of sometimes helps certain music supervisors and clients find kind of more rougher, grittier kind of music. Maybe grittier is probably a better word. Maybe just reinterpret unpolished as gritty. That's maybe a better term for it. Carlos is definitely stepping up your game for sure. Cool. I get the same thing on all my rock tracks. Ryan, you're responding to Ryan. I don't know what Ryan was saying there. Oh, okay. Ryan says, definitely gives me the right libraries to hit up, but my timing might be off, and I get paralysis by analysis when comparing quality to. Yeah, that can be tricky too, because there's a lot of really, really, really good music here. I've become a fan of a lot of the music that I've heard here. And so, yeah, you can sometimes hear some great high quality music in your style of music and go like, oh my gosh, how the heck am I ever going to get to that point with my quality? That's a tricky one. And again, that's that mindset thing where you can look at this music and this information and either interpret it two ways. One is, I'll never get there. Oh my gosh, look at that mountain. I just have no chance of getting to that. Or, you know what, that's my destination, and I'm going to take little baby micro steps every single day to get closer and closer to that. But thankfully, I now know where I exactly need to go if I want to make music that is on par with industry standards. It's actually getting placed. You see it as sort of an opportunity to know exactly where you need to go, and then just know that, yeah, you're not going to get there overnight. It's going to take, every single day, focusing on one thing you can potentially do. The one thing that all of you guys can do, regardless of your skill set or your talents or your genre that you produce, or even the VSTs or the DAWs you're using, is you can all listen to this music, right? All of you guys have ears. I'm assuming most of you guys can still hear if you're following and watching here. We have some of our hearing left, right? You can listen to this music, and you can definitely just spend time absorbing the best of our industry to make sure that you are heading in an in-demand direction, right? And starting to expect more from yourself, because you're basically now, I remember this when I was in college. I wanted to start writing songs, and I wanted to write songs for artists and bands and that kind of a thing. And there was this temptation to basically want to kind of compare my music to, I joined some little songwriting groups, and like you'd get together, show each other your songs, that kind of thing. And I had this temptation to want to compare what I was doing to the other people in my group. And we were all amateurs. Like nobody here was doing it full time. We were all kind of learning and kind of students of the art, right? And it dawned on me at some point that that would be a very big mistake to go like, well, my music is better than all these other people that are around me, so I'm great, right? They were never my competition. My competition were the top tracks on the rock radio, on the radio at that time, right? These are the national, international bands. They have the biggest audiences. They are touring. I need to basically, if I want to play ball with the best and I want my music to really stand up against the best, I better be consistently looking for the best possible competitor status I can find and constantly challenging myself to get up to their level. It's like, if you want to learn how to play basketball and be great at it, do you want to go play with third graders, on the schoolyard, or you want to go find some really competitive college or even professional players, semi-pros, that'll let you, for some reason, join in on their fun game and basically consistently play with the best of the best. Yes, you're going to fall on your butt many, many times. Yes, you're going to be the worst one on the court. Yes, you're going to look foolish, of course. But you know that just surrounding yourself with that excellence, comparing yourself to the excellence, just through osmosis, being around people that are really, 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 really good at what you want to be good at, that is the only path to improve your odds of really getting to their status, okay? And not like deluding yourself and going, well, my music is better than that other person over there who's not really doing it full time. They just put music online. That's sort of like deluding yourself into not getting better. So yeah, these tracks that you see on the app are your competition. You like it or not. They are good too. They are really, really, really high quality. You can be great too, right? It doesn't happen overnight. Yella is here, and Yella can tell you guys that he has been a very, very talented composer, but even his skills have massively increased since the 5-6 years he's been doing this as well. The more you do it, the better you get. The more you start to understand it, the more you see what works, how to compose efficiently, effectively, not wasting time, not getting stuck in writer's block, all those things. It's just little skills. Nobody's born with this stuff. You just kind of pick it up as you go. So, all right, so Norm's saying that's the style. You're thinking about the style in a new way, so that's cool. Makes sense. Cool. Unpolished. Yeah. And let me say hi to some of you in YouTube land. Hey, Jenny, I have a question. I sing and perform before and wanted to enter sync industry, but I don't know how to start. I have a lot of doubt right now, even if I can make one placement. Yeah. So if you are you said you sing and perform. If you sing, if you can record yourself in your own home studio, Jenny, you will be a star on, assuming you have a great singing voice, you would be a star on our Sync Academy platform, because we have tons of high quality, talented producers always looking for vocalists to partner with. So if you don't make the music, but you can supply the vocals, and more specifically, you can record yourself, you're going to be just top notch. If you can't record yourself, it's going to be tougher. You would have to basically go partner with somebody more locally that you can go into their studio and record your vocals with them. It's just a longer, tougher road if you don't do it yourself. So, but yes, it's having the doubt, can you even make one placement? Everybody here who hasn't earned one placement, same doubt, right? Everybody's having the same exact doubt. So Mike is saying, thanks for bringing realistic optimism to sometimes hopeless music industry. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And the music industry sometimes does, for sure, feel hopeless. And in some ways, it kind of is. But we are not in the music industry here. Just remember, when you're in sync, you are supplying the entertainment industry. We're just bringing music over to it. We're basically just servicing a different industry. So we're not trying to get fans. We're not trying to get streams here. Some of you guys might be trying to do that as well. But if you're focused 100% on sync, whatever's going on in the music industry is kind of, it's not irrelevant to us, but it's not like the top thing concerning us. So just so you know, if you guys are in the industry, music industry, and you hate it, well, get into sync, because you're not even involved with the music industry, really. You're kind of going completely in a different direction. So anyways, let me go into some track reviews here before we wrap up today. So for those of you that have uploaded some of your tracks on our platform, we're going to listen to a couple of them. We'll get through a couple today. Hopefully give you guys some helpful feedback. It is going to sound terrible on YouTube. Sorry, guys. Can't fix that. It's just how it is with this Zoom call thing. But I am going to record this. It's going to be available on the Sync Academy platform. So the high quality audio will definitely be there. And maybe I'll just re-upload it to YouTube as well. But Justin, I haven't done a review from you. You had a track that you uploaded for July. So let's take a listen to what you got here, man. I'll give you some thoughts. Definitely a beautiful piece of music here. I would say from recently, as I was going through all the data on Sync Match, you are kind of in between two places with this style of music for what's actually getting placed the most. So one is you have this really cool kind of progressive electronic thing going on, right? These really cool bells and this electronic sound you have going on. We kind of classify that a little bit in the, it's like a neutral mood. It's something about like if you imagine like a machine working, you just see kind of like gears going, and you see, imagine the kind of music that would be placed underneath that. That's kind of getting placed tons and tons and tons. It's kind of this neutral electronic approach to it, and you're definitely doing that here. But what you're throwing on top of it, and this is where you're kind of mixing two different things, is you have this beautiful orchestral music, and I love what you're doing with the two of them. What I'm not hearing, though, in the data is both of these being combined. What I usually I hear is these two being separated in two different styles of cues. One having that kind of neutral, kind of curious, forward momentum, electronic vibe, kind of minimal, sort of, pulsing along. And then you have just straight up orchestral, beautiful, epic, adventurous sort of trailer cues. So I would say my advice for you would be to kind of maybe split up and do either one or the other. But I would definitely tell you first go for that electronic sound, because I think that's much more achievable. I think you've already got the skills, and I can already hear that you would have an amazing, basically you're stripping out the orchestral elements out of this. You've already got kind of something really, really licensable and in demand that gets placed a lot. We definitely see it in the data. You can do the big trailer orchestral stuff, but again, the quality's got to be super high. I'd have to hear where you go with that, because you'd have to really add a lot more to this just to make it a big, larger than life, epic drums, that kind of a thing. But either way, like, you've got a lot of skills, you got a lot of talent, you've got a lot of cool things to add to this industry. So you got to decide where you want to go. And what's so, again, it's just mind-blowing to me, is that the only reason I can give you this kind of feedback is because I've just been spending, the last few months really, but just more recently with our new data update, I've been listening to so much music that gets placed. And so it's so clear to me now. That's why I'm telling you guys, had I had this data when I was starting out in 2008, would have made a world of difference on how much music I produced, shouldn't have been producing, and what I was doing with my time. It was just not, most of the music, I would say probably most of the music. It's kind of crazy to say that, but most music I made was not a wise use of my time. So if you don't want to make that mistake, don't make my mistake. Come on in, check out Sync Match. There's definitely going to be a link below if you guys are watching on YouTube. Spending time listening, guys, is where you're going to get you will start to have these immediate, oh, that's what I should be doing if you start listening to this music. Okay, so let's check out Matthew, next track here.
Come along with me, be a part of the journey. Oh, you will see, live a life you have dreamed. You deserve this, come so far. Show 'em who you are. Bags packed, found a plane, took off far away, headed high to the stars. This is who you are. Make your path of your own, hopes and dreams so close. This is who you are. As I walk this winding path, I always look back, reflect on my past. All the choices that I have made put me right here this very day.
All right, this is really, really, really good. I'm sorry, I'm not going to get through everybody's full track because I want to get through a couple of tracks. But Matthew, obviously, I love your vocoder effect here, man. I think that's really cool. I know I've heard that before, and I'm glad that you're sticking with it. Like, double down on that. It's such a cool effect you have with your voice. This is definitely more in folk in terms of our data. So if you guys are on the app, Matthew, if you're using it, I'm not sure if you're using it or not, go to genre, go back to the main one, check out folk. All of these are really, really great reference tracks for you to go check out and listen to, because you're doing a lot of things similar to what they're doing, but you would definitely need to bring out more of your guitars. They need to be a lot louder, a little bit more like they're driving it. And you do need to kind of bring in a little bit more of the folk kind of live band feel. I didn't quite get enough of the live band that was playing this. Maybe even more if you can get like a mandolin or something, a banjo, something plucky. You could throw that in. I hear a lot of that with these tracks as well. And then keep your vocoder, but I would say just tamp it down a little bit. It's a really cool, beautiful, clean effect, and you should keep it. Just keep it in enough to notice it, but I feel like right now it's a little bit too present, and it's kind of giving me this confusion of, is this kind of more of an electronic track or is this folk one? You really got to get very clearly categorized into the folk world. So listening to these tracks, maybe starting with the biggest placed one, start there and then basically add those vocoder in there, because I think that's going to be your kind of sonic signature thing that I don't hear probably in any of these, but I think it's good. I think it's going to be really good. But you also maybe want to have a version of your tracks without the vocoder, so it's just now just a proper traditional folk track, because folk gets placed a lot on TV, this kind of folk, pop music, whatever. So check out these tracks, model them, emulate them. You're going in a very, very good direction, but I would just say you need to kind of bring in a little bit more of the live acoustic performance, kind of moving more air through the speakers with your guitars and maybe some plucked instruments. So that's the only thing I wasn't quite hearing. It was just a little bit timid in that department, but really, really cool stuff. I really, really like what you're doing there, man. Let's see. Norm, we haven't done one from you yet. I'm surprised. All right, Norm, let's check it out. And Norm's here with us today, so we get to interact. Here we go. Nicely done, Norm. I heard a lot of good stuff in here. That's why it kind of just pulled me in for the ride. And I had a lot of thoughts, suggestions for you to make it a little bit more licensable. But definitely, this style of music is certainly showing up in our database. You'd probably find this in classic rock. Maybe even a little bit of ska, because there's a little bit of a ska kind of feel in here. So maybe check out those two. Maybe even punk rock. I don't know if you want to get into punk rock, but it's like those three, this kind of track would sort of fall somewhere in that kind of world. Probably primarily classic rock. That's kind of where this is going to go. So it's high tempo, it's driving, and it's got just good, upbeat, fun energy. So definitely this is certainly showing up in our database. Some things that are really, really good here that you should do more of. This little run up you had right here. I almost think you should start it like that. Let me see what you did. Yeah, I almost think that this would be a track where you want to kind of do. So maybe kind of with the drums, either with the crash cymbals or with toms. So big exclamation marks at the very beginning, and then just kind of really cool ramp up. Then kind of get us into this this kind of more stripped down part. That would be a really cool way, very impactful, attention grabbing to get this track started. This break you had, very, very smart as well to have this little edit point. If you could throw in a little drum fill to get back into it, something like that, very, very smart as well, just to kind of kick things back up into full speed. But having an edit point right here, very smart. You probably need to have another one, maybe even two, probably just one though, somewhere in the middle here as well. One lead I wasn't super hot on was the kind of, it was like constantly hitting the same note. Yeah, that one, it sounds a little out of tune, and it's just kind of just relentless, hitting the same thing. I would just wipe that one out. That's just probably not going to be the right one. You might be able to kind of like slim this down a little bit. I don't know if this section needed to be as long as it was, and maybe you can kind of cut this little middle section in half or figure something out. But yeah, that was the only part of the track that just wasn't quite driving. Lastly, I don't know if you do sing, Norm, or if you can kind of maybe partner with somebody who does do singing. If you can throw even just a tagline on top of this, the phrase that came to me, and you can use this, is either ain't nothing like the real thing or nothing like the real thing. Ain't nothing like the real thing. Something like that. Just the tagline. You don't have to have lyrics other than that. You don't have the verse, but just something that just kind of gives this nice thematic pop on the top. You open yourselves up to not only getting reality TV show placements, but also commercials. So if you can kind of add a tagline, we just had one of our CEOs on the Sync Connect call tell us that specifically, that's exactly what it was. Rob from Loaded Production Music, that he's specifically looking for music that has a single tagline on it. It doesn't need to be fully written. It's just in the hook, in the chorus. There's some tagline that's very, very licensable. So nothing like the real thing. It's a very licensable. It's open, it's broad, it can be applied to a lot of different things, and it's definitely very advertiser friendly, right? As you can just imagine how many advertisers can use that. So keep doing this. Very, very high quality music, and very, very licensable for sure. I definitely hear this in our data. So excellent work, Norm. And let me go into one more today. Paul, we haven't done yours yet. Let's take a listen to Paul's track.
Feel it in the air. I can feel it on my skin.
like sunshine and rainbows.
Very cool track here. Really like what you're doing, Paul. I don't know who you're working with for the vocals, but really, really great sound here. It's just really clean, well written, and very sync friendly lyrics. Nothing's gonna hold me down. That is obviously a very, very sync friendly track. This one's kind of a little bit of a head scratcher for me. I'm not exactly sure where I would point you because, you know, I see this blues rock thing. This is, to me, not blues rock, though. I wouldn't classify this music as blues rock. Blues rock, for me, has much more of a, well, bluesy approach. It could be swagger rock, but you definitely hear a lot more blues. This, to me, is kind of more, I would call it more 80s rock. Like, it definitely has kind of a throwback feel, especially the vocals and the harmonies, and just the singing style. I really hear 80s in this, and the rock maybe isn't sounding so much 80s, but definitely the kind of songwriting does feel some 80s. So I think what's giving me a little bit of pause is, you know, for me, what I've seen on our app for 80s is you'll see that there is 80s music, but it's pop. When we see the 80s style appear in our data, it's exclusively coming up as basically pop music. So if you want to go in the 80s direction, go for it. And there might be some opportunity to put some rock guitars in there for sure. But it's not primarily, you know, 80s rock is just not really showing up in the data in terms of what we're seeing and what we're monitoring. I'm not saying it can't, but I'm just not seeing a lot of it. If you are interested in blues rock, check out blues rock, because you'll find this is a much grittier, darker, sometimes slower even style of music. And so it's a very different approach to what I'm hearing when you have blues rock kind of tagged on this track, right? So I don't know exactly where you want to go, if you want to go in the blues rock direction, or if you're kind of more into that 80s sort of a direction, or if you're just looking for just kind of rock music across the board. You kind of got to pick which one of those maybe you really want to fit into, and depending on what you are really most excited about, or maybe you want to explore a little bit here, I'd probably just go check out rock as well. Just good old plain, where the R's are, rock. Yeah, just check out what rock tracks are basically flying off the shelf and see, do you want to make this style of music, or is it the blues rock you're really more into, or is it that 80s approach that you were kind of into? But you're kind of in between three of them, and it's a really great track. I love what you're doing with it, but I'm just not hearing this particular approach, kind of an 80s rock sound, popping up a lot. Also, you could check out classic rock. I mean, maybe there would be something a little bit closer to what you're doing in classic rock, but even there, you know, I listened to all the classic rock tracks. I did not hear 80s rock at all in any of this kind of stuff. So it was either 70s rock, 60s rock. Yeah, I don't think I ever heard any. I'm trying to think, but I don't think I heard any 80s rock sort of approach. But this would definitely be somewhere you want to go check out too, the classic rock section, to see, you know, if some of those are going to be useful for you, and maybe a direction you want to go into. So, well, thank you guys so much. I'm going to go ahead and end my share there. I appreciate you guys hanging with me today, and I hope that our conversation was useful for you guys. We had some questions here in the Sync Academy chat about what levels should you master at. I don't think there's a sort of set. I'd say my general advice is make it as loud as you possibly can without making it sound horrible. That's basically where we're at in our industry. It's getting louder and louder. You guys know the loudness wars have been upon us for, I don't know, at least a decade or plus. So don't worry so much about the number. Worry about, can I get this louder without it distorting, without blowing out? Like, how loud can I essentially get this and still maintain its fidelity and sound really, really good? So that's really all you got to think about. Obviously, using reference tracks, A/B comparing your track to maybe one of the tracks you find on the Sync Match app would be a very, very wise move. So that as you click play on your computer, you could click play on the Spotify link, you can go like, all right, they're roughly about the same volume. If you notice a massive difference, you've got some work to do. You really need to bring it up to par. But I wouldn't worry so much about, is it negative 14? Is it negative 12? Is it negative 10? Nobody really is paying attention to that with libraries. They're not measuring the loudness of your track. They're hearing it, right? So just use this is a better meter, a better feedback mechanism than looking at a bar on a screen to go, did I hit the magic number? Is number good? That's not going to really help you out. Is the music loud? Is it as loud as I can possibly get it? Is my mix distorting? Is it blown out? Do things feel properly balanced? Is it stereo spread? Do I have the low end, rich and warm and, kind of doing what my sort of reference track is doing? If you've got that, then you got a really good shot at making sure that you have something that's really, really competitive and on par with the industry standards. So hopefully that answers that. But yeah, it's a big topic. We won't get into all the details, but just make it loud. That's basically my advice for you guys. So thank you so much for hanging with us. Those of you on YouTube, appreciate you guys hanging here as well. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great, wonderful, productive week. Got some really interesting videos planned ahead for the month, and we'll definitely be doing our middle of the month mastermind here in Sync Academy only. If you guys are following along with Sync Focus and you're in our community, we will definitely be setting that up for probably a couple of Saturdays from now, where you guys can connect with each other and kind of build some more community around your careers and around your music. So hopefully many of you guys can show up for that. So until then, you guys